Today on the Ellison Show, I'm going to answer a question that has vexed America for centuries. We're going to put this thing down and we're going to solve it. The question, is slavery a choice? I think it is. Now I want you to like, share, subscribe, and follow me on X. You know what they're going to try to do? They're going to try to block me, these tech people. But if you follow me and if you share this thing, it's going to be more difficult for them. So come join me. We're going to talk about whether or not slavery is a choice today on the Ellison Show. All right, let's get this thing started. Yeah, we're going to talk about it today. People have been arguing about this for the last, 250 years. Was slavery a choice? Because, man, if you ask a Democrat, oh, no, we didn't have no choice. We can't do nothing. It was slavery. White folks had us. All we could do was comply. Yeah. All right. We're going to talk about that. Our old friend Kanye West started a kerfuffle a few years ago when he just said slavery was a choice. Liberals lost their mind. Democrats went crazy on Kanye. What you mean? You lost your mind? Kanye tripping. Slavery couldn't be a choice. The white folks controlled everything, and we couldn't do nothing. Well, ask myself a question. Maybe you can answer this question too. Why don't I pick cotton for no money? Why did my great-grandfather pick cotton as a slave, and I don't? Well, the civil rights movement and the laws were changed. It's got nothing to do with it, because even after the laws were changed, 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment were passed. 13th Amendment said that you couldn't be a slave. 14th Amendment gave you due process of law. 15th Amendment gave you a right to vote. All this is done between 1865 and 1870. All of it. And for 100 years, black people picked cotton. Now why don't I pick cotton for the white man, but my great-great-grandfather did? You know what? It's simple. I refuse. And if you try to make me, I'm going to bust a cap in your head. That's the difference between me and him. He would do it. I would not. There lies the choice. Slavery was a choice then. It's a choice now. I'll give you an example. There's been legislation on the books for school choice, man, for the past 40 years. Black people and black Democrats got the worst schools in the industrialized world. They monster factories. You can go on YouTube and see children fighting, raising hell, cussing out the teacher, pulling knives, shooting each other. I mean, just acting a bona fide absolute fool. 85% of them can't read. 86% can't do math and can't count. But when school choice legislation comes to give black parents the right to pull their children out of these schools, even though almost 90% agree with school choice, 90% agree with vouchers, tax credits, charters, all of it, they'll vote for the Democrat that will keep their children enslaved in their school. Why? Because they choose to be slaves. You have neighborhoods filled with dope and fighting and cussing, burnt out buildings, police beating the hell out of you. And what do? What's your solution to that problem? Give the police your gun, keep on voting for the same people that keep you trapped in those places and won't let you out. And you're going to tell me slavery ain't a choice? So let's deal with the concept of freedom. They said, we ain't free. They took our freedom. You got two things mixed up. You got freedom confused with liberty. Liberty is your movements. They put you in prison, lock you in a cage, they take away your freedom. Can't do nothing. You're taking away your liberty, Can't do anything about that. But your freedom is up here in your head. So even when you're in prison, God is going to hold you responsible for what you do in that prison, because that's your freedom. He's going to hold you responsible if you murder somebody. He's going to hold you responsible if you're lying. He's going to hold you responsible if you're cheating and doing dope and fornicating and involved in all kind of crazy activity. You're still going to be held responsible for your freedom. That's why your freedom is an unalienable right. It is given to you by God. It cannot be taken away from you. It is irrevocable, non-transferable, and unsellable, according to John Locke. You are free, and you're going to be held responsible for your freedom. Oh, don't believe me? Well, let me take you to your Bible. Since all you Christian folks supposed to believe your Bible. Galatians 5:1. For freedom, Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to the yoke of slavery. Do not submit to the yoke of slavery. Submission is a choice. And the Bible orders you not to submit to the yoke of slavery. Now, this was done 2,000 years before there was slavery in America. And the Bible was ordering you then not to submit to it, that you were born free. Let's go to 1 Peter 2:16. Live as people who are free, not using your freedom as a cover-up for evil, but living as servants of God. That's 1 Peter 2:16. He orders us to live as people who are free. You got to choose to do that. It's a choice. Let's go to Isaiah 61:1. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, freedoms for the captives, and release from darkness for the prisoners. This was a prophecy regarding Jesus Christ. He has proclaimed me. Proclaim freedom for the captives. Psalms 118:5. Out of my distress, I called on the Lord. The Lord answered me, and set me free. The Lord set him free. John 8:32. For you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. He who the Son has freed is free indeed. The Bible talks about freedom, and you accepting Jesus Christ, you are free. Oh, no. Black preachers, black Democrats, NAACP, and all of them say, you ain't free. You're still a slave. Martin Luther King Jr. in his I Have a Dream speech said, 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, the Negro is still not free. And on certain day, we'll be free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. Well, I ask you one question today. Who do you believe? Who is your master? You believe Jesus Christ? Or you believe all these jackleg, lying, backwards preachers and civil rights workers out here? Yeah, Vince tripping, trying to say you free. You ain't free. Well, let me tell you what Frederick Douglass said right before he got his freedom, a lesson that he learned about being free. Frederick was a young man on a plantation in Maryland. And his slave master decided that he was going to break him because Frederick was kind of ornery. He sent him to this slave breaker. It's a guy by the name of Covey. And he was going to break Frederick down. He's going to make Frederick obey. And one day, Covey hit Frederick one too many times. And Frederick basically beat the hell out of Covey. And after he got through whooping Covey, he saw how Covey respected him. And in my book, The Iron Triangle, I write about what Frederick Douglass said and the lesson that he learned after defeating Covey. Frederick said, a man without force is without the essential dignity of humanity. Human nature is so constituted that it cannot honor a helpless man, although it can pity him. And even this, it cannot do long if the signs of power do not arise. A man without force is without the essential dignity of humanity. Human nature is so constituted that it cannot honor a helpless man. Human nature is so constituted that it cannot honor a helpless man, although it can pity him. And this is what they want. They want you to be pitied. Now, they don't want you to stand up like a man, fight back. They want you to be pitied, slapped around. But listen now, they can pity him. And even this, it cannot do long. The pity of America is running out when it comes down to black people complaining about slavery 150 years ago, about what they're not getting today, about stalking white people and asking them for this, for that, and by complaining about what white conservatives and white slave owners did to them. It ain't happening no more. And even it cannot pity them long if the signs of power do not arise. I'm trying to get you to get the signs of power to arise in you because the pity is running out, y'all. They're cutting back on all of it. I know what you're saying. Well, the Democratic Party was the racist party. And then after the Civil Rights Movement, all the racist Democrats left, all the racist conservatives left the Democratic Party and went over to the Republican Party. And then the Republican Party became the racist party. So the Civil Rights Movement made all the conservatives leave the Democrat Party, which was a racist party before the Civil Rights Movement. And then they all moved to the Republican Party, and the Republican Party became the racist party because all the conservatives went there. Now, let me show you the fallacy in that statement, okay? Hold on to your horses for a minute. The logic of it is completely wrong. Let me explain. So you say that the Democratic Party was racist when the conservatives were there. The conservatives made it racist. And then after the Civil Rights Movement, they went to the Republican Party, and the Democratic Party was no longer racist. Okay. That would mean then that when all of the conservatives left the Democratic Party and went to the Republican Party, that black people should have become exponentially better because all the black people went to the Democratic Party, right? Yeah, okay. How are they better? I mean, since all the conservatives are gone, because while the conservatives were there, between 1940 and 1960, black people cut their poverty rate from 80% to 30%, the biggest reduction in poverty in history. While the conservatives were in the Democratic Party, no black men were going to jail. The black family was together. The black educational system was one of the best in the whole nation, even though segregated. The black economy was thriving. There was no crime in the streets. No dope, no drugs, no fight, no AIDS. And then the conservatives leave, and all hell break loose. Cities are destroyed. Black families destroyed. Black economy destroyed. Black education destroyed. Black family decimated. Prison population explodes 5 times. We got AIDS, disease, fighting, burning. Yeah. Seems like to me that the liberals, when they took over the Democratic Party, they started beating the hell out of the black community. It was like what the old South Africans said in South Africa now that the ANC done took over South Africa. They said South Africa is better under apartheid. Oh, black people's on the move. HBCUs were going. Black education was rolling. But see, we got this schizophrenic relationship with America. Kind of weird, man. I was watching this movie, Green Book. You know, liberals that made Green Book made it seem like every place where black folks stayed in the South was a cesspool. Didn't nobody want to stay there. And black folks just wanted to dream about the day where they could just go to white folks' hotels and eat in white folks' restaurants because the Green Book was just a terrible situation for black folks. Oh, we hated being segregated. Well, now look at us. You can't hardly go in any big black city where you can't find the black pages to tell you where black businesses are. So you can go and do your business with black businesses and black people. All they want to talk about now, we got to support black business. All they want you to go to the HBCUs now. They want all the black athletes to stop going to the mostly white colleges and go. Oh, they want you to go to the Howard University and Morehouse and Jackson State and Tennessee State now. Yeah, that's what they want you to do now. Yeah. You're coming, you're going. You're coming, you're going. When you move into a black neighborhood, white folks move in, it's called gentrification. When they move out, it's called white flight. You're coming, you're going. Can't make them happy. What did King say? When will we be satisfied? We will never be satisfied. Not until justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. Fancy way of saying never. And you are never, ever satisfied. And let me tell the conservatives something. You ain't going to never satisfy them. Even now, they want to say slavery is not a choice. Even though at this present time, they still choosing slavery. You know, the state of New Hampshire, I'm going to be touring up there first week in May. Their mantra is, live free or die. Love New Hampshire. Agree with the mantra about 90%. I just changed the last word of it. It ain't going to be live free or die for Vince Everett Ellison. It is live free or kill. I have no expectation of dying behind somebody that's trying to enslave me. I have every intention of killing him if he tries. That's where the power comes from. And when a person knows you think like that, like if you're chasing a wild animal and he turns around and looks at you and give you that growl and say, one more step, you're walking through the woods, you hear that rattlesnake rattle, one more step, that's when they'll start leaving you alone. Well, maybe if you try to fight for your freedom, they just might kill you. That's interesting. Let me show you the difference between how a slave thinks and how the founding fathers think. And this is why these cats are legendary. At the end of the Declaration of Independence, this is what these guys write. They have written a declaration to King George, who has the most powerful army in the history of the world. King George has said, I'm going to come kill every last one of y'all when I find you. I ain't going to just kill you. I'm going to take you back to Great Britain. I'm going to take you. I'm going to hang you till you're almost dead. Then I'm going to drop you down. I'm going to cut you wide open. I'm going to pull your guts out. I'm going to castrate you in front of everybody. Then I'm going to cut off your limbs and send them to the othermost parts of the English Empire. I'm going to teach y'all about messing with me. You know what these boys said? George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, John Adams, John Hancock. You know what they said? This is what they wrote. They said, with the firm reliance on the protection of divine providence. Divine providence, if anybody wants to know, is God. Don't get it twisted or get it confused. Divine providence is God. With the firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. That's what they said. Oh, you afraid to die? Look at what they said. We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. And then each one of them put their signature on it and sent a copy to King George and said, now bring it. And you gonna tell me slavery is not a choice? They refuse to be a slave. Said, I will die before I be one. And then they go back to their plantations, and there's old John in there working in the cotton field. In the American Revolution, they told the slaves, the British and the Americans, listen now, told them, if you come out and help us fight, you'll get your freedom. Some went to the British. When the British lost the war, the Americans tried to say, send them back to their plantation. The British said, no, we promised them their freedom. So they sent them either to the Indies, up to Canada, or took them back to Britain with them. But they didn't give them back to their masters. The American colonies, most of them kept their word and freed the slaves that fought. War of 1812, same thing. If you'll fight, we'll give you your freedom. Some chose to fight, some chose to stay on the plantation and chose their slavery. The war in Mexico, same thing. If you come and fight, we'll give you your freedom. Some stayed on the plantation, others fought. The Civil War, same thing. Emancipation Proclamation written. Abraham Lincoln said, you're free. Come over here and fight. Only 1% left their plantations and went and fought for the Union. Now, others stayed on the plantation. Yes, they did. During Reconstruction, 12 years, from 1865 to 1877, federal troops were down here protecting the black freedmen. And in the election of 1876, they voted for the Democrat Party and gave them the whole South all over again. And the white Democrats kicked them out of office for 100 years. Yes, slavery ain't a choice. Underground Railroad coming down here to get black folks to take them to freedom. A lot of them wouldn't even join or go. Harriet Tubman left. Frederick Douglass left. Alex Turner left. If they could go, why couldn't the other ones go? I'll tell you why. Most of it was cowardice. I scared, boss. I scared. Well, you know what? Our Star-Spangled Banner ends with a nice statement. It says, does that Star-Spangled Banner still wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave? Why does it say that, y'all? Because in order to be free, you got to be brave. The biggest problem in the black community isn't slavery. It ain't white conservatives. It's not America. The biggest problem in the black community right now is cowardice. Mostly black male cowardice. Oh, you'll fight each other. You'll slap each other around. But you won't even leave 3 months from where you were born, three blocks from where you were born, and go out and test the world because you're afraid. Black male cowardice and self-hate. You believe what they've said about you, that you're nothing, that you're black, you don't have choices. Because see, they have to keep telling you slavery was a choice, because if you ever figure out that it wasn't, that's when you become free, and that's when you become dangerous. When you can look in the mirror and say, I decide my future, nobody else. Because they'll even tell you now that you're not free. And I've heard black people argue that they're not free, even though Jesus Christ told them that they're free. They say they're Christians, they've accepted Christ, and Christ said, if you accept me, you're free. And they will argue still to this day that they are not free, which means that they are liars. They've rejected Christ, and they're following another master, and that master is the Democrat Party. The You're Not Free Party. Now, let me tell you how we've changed as a people within the last 100 years. My sister sent me this YouTube video of recordings from former slaves, people who had been slaves and were released, and they were very old, and they recorded them and put them in the Library of Congress. And it was this young white man at the time that was talked about his experience. His name was John Henry Fawkes. And John Henry said that he was talking to this old black man on a wagon wheel. He was talking about how he's going to help black folks, telling them how he was going to give them the right to go to school and the right to vote and the right to do whatever it is they wanted to do. John Henry, the white man, was going to give it to him. And he was talking to this old black man that looked at John Henry. And John Henry told him, this old black man told him, he said, you still got that disease, don't you? John Henry said, what? What you talking about? He said, you got that disease to think that you can give me my rights. He said, you can't give me anything. I was born with them, just like you were. You can't give me my rights. My rights are given to me by God. So go on with you coming here telling me what you're going to do for me and what you're going to give me. And John Henry said at first, he got mad about it, man. He said he got mad because this old black man had told him about the type of white man that he was. He said, you think that you can cure that disease of yours? Well, see, these white liberals still got that disease. They think that they can cure us of our slave mentality. No, I'm sorry. They don't want to cure us of our slave mentality. They got the disease of believing that they have the power to give us our freedom, to give us what we want, to give us the right to go to school, give us the right to do this, give us the right to do that. Martin Luther King was up there screaming at one time, give us the ballot and we'll do this. Give us the ballot. Always give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. It says I already got what I need. Why? Because I'm an heir of Jesus Christ. I'm a child of God. I don't need nothing from you. I'm not coveting anything you got. I have my rights. All I need to do is exercise them. And when you exercise your rights, it's just like you getting in your new car and driving it that you just paid the note off on. It's yours. And if anybody come and try to take it from you, you got the right to pull out your weapon and lay them down. It is your right. You need to exercise them. And when you don't exercise them, accept the fact that you have submitted to slavery. At the beginning of the Civil War, there was 4,500,000 white people down south. There were 4 million black people down south. At the end of the Civil War, there were more black men down south than white men. Now, how did they submit us or make us submit to second-class citizenship? Well, the same way they did it in South Africa. There were 10 times more black men in South Africa than it was black men. Yeah. 10 times more. You know how they do it? They compromise your leadership. They use affirmative action and DEI to come in and find your best and your brightest and compromise them. Or they'll come in and find the stupidest people in your community and give them power over you. That's all affirmative action and DEI is. You've given the racist the power to walk into your community and decide what people they're going to elevate to positions of authority and power. And if you give your enemy that type of power, who do you think they're going to choose? Malcolm X or Step and Fetch It? Yeah, you got it. They're going to choose Step and Fetch It. And then you're amazed when you turn around and look around and your neighborhood got dope being sold on the street, prostitution sold over here, schools no good, but those no good Step and Fetches are living high on the hog. Jim Clyburn, Maxine Waters, all of them in the Black Caucus. White liberals chose those people to rule over you and say, keep your foot on their neck, tell them that they are inferior, tell them they are slaves, tell them they are not free, and make sure they vote for us and we'll keep you on top. Jesus Christ gave me my freedom. I refuse to be a slave. If you want to try to make me one, try it. I got 2 things that'll get you off of me. You heard me say it before. I say it again. It is Jesus and my 38. And I would have a pleasure in unloading my gun on you if you come and try to take away my freedom. Oh, that's why they want to take away the Second Amendment, isn't it? Can't be doing that. Can't be fighting back when a white Democrat come to try to take your freedom away. That's why whenever somebody gets shot or there's a mass shooting, they want to come take my gun, but somebody else did. What kind of sense that make? Since this guy did this, we gonna come take your gun from you. There again. Here it is, boss, take it. Submitting to slavery. Only 2 things voluntarily give up their right to defend themselves. It's a slave and a pet. And I'm neither. There you go. The first gun laws came out after slavery to keep black men from being able to defend themselves. Submitting again to slavery, and that's who you fight for. That's who you vote for. You know what, y'all? This is a divide and conquer tactic. They still got us fighting the army of the dead. Confederates, old plantation owners. We're like the Palestinians and the Jews over in the Middle East, both children of Abraham, one from Ishmael and one from Isaac, and they're fighting one another, killing one another. We're here in the United States of America, all citizens, all brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ. And the white liberal got us fighting and killing one another so they can stay in power. Got us hating one another so they can stay in power. And if we ever sit down and talk, we'll find out that we have more in common than we have in disagreement. And that is when we will win. When you stop blaming dead people for where you are today. People that were alive 150 years ago. You are responsible for each and everything that you do. Anyone that tells you otherwise is not your friend. Let's forget about whether or not they agreed to be slaves back in the old days, even though I say, like the founding fathers, when they decided that they would not be slaves, they would pledge their lives, their fortune and sacred honor before they would be a slave. And we had many of our people that would bow to the master as soon as they saw him. Tap dance for him, sell out their people for him, bow to him, call him boss, same as they do today. And then you had some of our people that were like the founding fathers, like Frederick Douglass and Alex Turner and Harriet Tubman. They'd kill you before they'd be a slave. That proves to you that it is a choice. So what is your choice today? To believe Jesus Christ, proclaim your freedom, vote for somebody that's going to ensure your right to educate your child the way you want, vote for somebody that's going to ensure your right to practice your religion the way you want, vote for someone that's not going to take away your right to keep and bear arms, vote for somebody that's going to let you keep as much of what you earn as possible and not restrict you from opening up businesses so you can take care of yourself. Vote for somebody that's going to allow you to rear your children the way that you see fit and pray to your God and revere him in the way that you see fit, or you're going to vote for another slave master and walk voluntarily back on the plantation and then scream about being a slave. Haven't we had enough? Haven't everything that can be attained through marching and burning and looting and violence, hasn't that been attained by now? As Abraham Lincoln asked, can we stop this bleeding? Well, first you must take your place at the table around other free men. You must announce your freedom. You must declare it. Then you must exercise it. And then you must make a solemn oath that you will kill anyone who tries to take it from you. Then you are a free man. Oh, this Ellison talking about violence. You're damn right I am. You better be violent. But you know what? Dangerous man is not a violent man. A dangerous man is a violent man that has his violence completely under control. And he can pull it out like a credit card whenever he needs to use it. That's the type of violence that I'm talking about. I want you guys to go to my website, vinceellison.com. vinceellison.com. I want you to buy my books. We'll explain this more in depth. Iron Triangle was the first book. Again, all my books have been #1 bestsellers. Iron Triangle, one of the greatest books ever written. 25 Lies, also #1 bestseller, one of the best books ever written. Crime Inc., also #1 bestseller. Go on my website, check these books out. Look for my documentary, Will You Go to Hell For Me? You can stream it or you can buy the DVD. I want you to sit back and contemplate what I talked to you about today. Read your Bible. Ask it the basic question. Did Christ set me free? Look at yourself. Ask yourself the question. Am I a slave or am I a free man? Understand though, when you ask it, your answer is going to determine the choice that you've made. I have answered my question. I am free. Anybody that's come to try to take my freedom, you're going to have a hard day. I am here to wake you up. Hope I shook you a little bit today. Join me again next week for the Vince Everett Ellison Show.